Hi, welcome to today's video. My name is Kat, and today we're going to be talking about all the books that I want to read for the Bloomin' Readathon. Alright, so I hope you're all doing alright. I hope you're doing okay. My brain power is definitely pretty low, and I just kind of wanted to sit down and talk about some of the books that I want to read for the Bloomin' Readathon. This is the third year that I'm participating in the Bloomin' Readathon, so at this point it's tradition. But just some information on the readathon. It is being hosted by Allie over at Allison Pages, and I'm going to include all the information I have on the readathon that will be helpful for you in case you want to join. So I'll include all that information down below for you. This is one of my favorite readathons. I just love that it's a month long. It's just a really fun way to get into reading, especially right as the year is ending. I feel like it's a good way to kind of stay motivated, to kind of keep on chugging through your TBR. I've already made my fall TBR, so I'm kind of the worst at planning because I completely forgot to also consider some of these books for the Bloomin' Readathon because I knew I was going to be participating. So I already posted my fall TBR, but I'm going to be taking some of the books that I mentioned in that TBR and making it work for the Bloomin' Readathon. I really want to be able to make a dent in my fall TBR, and so far I've actually been sticking to it. So this is just more motivation to kind of make these books work so that I can complete it for the Bloomin' Readathon. There are 30 different prompts, but I'm going to be doubling up on spaces, tripling up on spaces, as many spaces as I can fill with one book, I will, because I just typically read like maybe 6 to 8 books a month, so I want to make the most of the books that I'm reading to kind of cover the board. I'm going to go through all of the books that I'm hoping to read, and then for each of those books, I'll let you know what prompt I'm thinking it could potentially fill. I'm going to actually start off with the books that I already talked about in my fall TBR, just to kind of get through those quickly, and then the second half will be some of the books that I'm adding to my TBR to help fill some of the other prompts. So up first is Yolk by Mary H.K. Choi. I don't fully know the synopsis on this one, but I believe it's about 2 sisters, and one of the sisters is diagnosed with cancer. That's all I know. I think that's what it's about. So I'm actually hoping to cover 3 spaces with this one. I have my computer here because I will not remember. The first one is The Cloud Space, which is a book that is bound to make you emotional. I'm also hoping to put this for The Tulip Space, which is a book that centers non-romantic love, and The Dandelion Space, which is a book that has been on your TBR for far too long. So those are the 3 that I'm hoping to kind of cover with this one. Let's see if I actually get to it. Okay, another book that was actually on my fall TBR is Against the Loveless World by Susan Abulhawa. This is about a Palestinian woman who is in an Israeli confinement cell, and she's kind of reflecting back on the events that took place that led to her confinement. So we kind of start in present day and then go back to the past, and we kind of jump back and forth. I actually did already start this one, so I have about 100 pages or so left. So I'm hoping that this will cover 2 prompts. I'm thinking it will be for The Cloud Space, a book that is bound to make you emotional, as well as The Moon Space, which is about a book that takes place in a country that's not your own. So these are the 2 that I'm thinking the prompt can fill. I feel like this one could also fill a few other prompts, but those are the 2 that I have in mind currently. And I'm hoping to finish this one within maybe the next day or so. I don't know. I feel like I've been kind of like flying through it, and then I'll go like a few days without reading just because that's how my life has been. I haven't had as much time to read. So we'll see. So far, it's really good though. All right, the next book that was on my fall TBR is Never Let Me Go by Kazuo Ishiguro. So it's funny, I actually watched the adaptation of it, and I kind of already forgot what it's about. So I can't really talk too much about the synopsis, which is horrible because I've watched the movie, and I haven't just watched it once, I've watched it more than once. There's these 3 kids that are friends, and something happens, but I don't remember what that is, which is like how did you watch the movie and forget like the main plot? So for this one I have 2. Yeah, let me see. I have 2 spaces that I'm hoping that this will fill. The first one is The Propagation Space, and that's a book that has been adapted into a movie, a film, whatever it may be. So this one's been adapted into a movie. I'm also planning to put this for The Water Space, which is a book by an author that you're thirsty for more of. And after reading Claire and the Sun, I definitely wanted to pick up more Ishiguro. This is not the last book I plan to read. I am really excited to kind of make my way through Ishiguro's backlist. So that's why I picked Never Let Me Go. All right, and then the next book that was also on my fall TBR is The Only Good Indians by Stephen Graham Jones. This I am hoping to put in the horror, nope, not the horror space. It is horror. I'm hoping to put this for the spider space, which is a book that has dark themes, that has a dark cover, anything like that. It feels like the perfect book for this space. And I've actually started this one. I'm telling you, I'm making progress through my fall TBR. I am 77 pages in, and so far it's so good. I haven't been super spooked out yet. I'm expecting that to come though, because I just hear that this is so creepy and scary. We will see if I become a major baby soon. I'm not the greatest with horror, but so far, I've been making my way through this. I refuse to read it at night, though. This is the book that I read when the sun is still out. You will not catch me in bed reading this before bed. So maybe that's been helping, but it's really good so far. I haven't read anything by Stephen Graham Jones, and I'm so glad that I finally started this one because it's so good so far. It's about these group of friends, and something happens when they went hunting, and they're kind of being haunted now because of what happened. It's very eerie, it's very spooky. I'm also listening to it on audiobook. The audiobook is also really good, so if you like audiobooks, I do so far really recommend it. Okay, up next, and another book that was on my fall TBR, it's The Vanished Birds by Simon Jimenez. This book, I actually have no idea what it's about. I know it's science fiction, and that's about all I know. This is a book that was recommended to me for the 12 books recommended by 12 friends by Andrea, and I'm really excited to read this one. Okay, so when I looked at this on Storygraph, I saw that it was tagged as slow-paced and also LGBTQ+. So for this one, I'm going to fill 2 prompts. The first one is the snail prompt, which is a slow burn, so we'll see. Storygraph put it down as a slow read. We will see if it actually is. And then it'll also be for the green carnation space, which is for LGBTQ plus representation. So I'm excited to have been able to kind of fit this one into the prompts. So those were all the books that were already on my fall TBR, and I was kind of able to make work for the prompts for the bloomin readathon. And now we're going to jump into the books that I've added to kind of help me get through some of the rest of the spaces on the bingo card. The first book I am hoping to read that I don't have a physical copy of just yet is The 100 Years' War on Palestine by Rashid Khalidi. With everything that's been happening to Palestinians, I just want to make sure that I'm learning and educating myself. There have been a lot of lists going around on Bookstagram, kind of giving recommendations on books that you can read to learn and educate yourself some more. And so I've added a few different books to my list, but this one I want to prioritize for the month of November. So yeah, that has been added to the top of my list. I wanted to make sure to include it. I will also include some resources down below, different accounts that you can follow, different organizations you can support, different resources that have been made available that I've come across on Bookstagram that might be helpful for you. I'll also include a link to the 5 Calls app, which makes it super easy to call your representatives. It doesn't take longer than 5 minutes, if that. So yeah, I will include resources down below for you. But for this one, I'm hoping that it will cover, 1, 2, 3 different spaces. So the cloud space, a book that is bound to make you emotional. The tree space, a book that is nonfiction. And then the last and final space that I'm hoping to put this one under is the succulent space, which is a book that makes you hot. In this case for me, I think it'll just make me really angry. So those are the spaces that I'm hoping to complete with this book. For the next book, if you have been a usual viewer of my channel, I feel like this book you've seen me talk about a million times, but it is Maud Martha by Gwendolyn Brooks. I won't talk too much about it, but this is one of my favorite books that I've ever read. I highly recommend it to everyone and anyone. If there's a book that I recommend often, I feel like it's Maud Martha. I just feel like it's such a short book. It's little vignettes. It's really sweet. I love Maud Martha. Yeah, this one just holds a special place in my heart. I really love this book. This is a special favor edition, and I absolutely love it. I love the blue and the yellow on the covers. If you know me, I'm a sucker for blue and yellow, and I just had to have this copy, so I'm really thankful that I do. When I initially read this one, I actually got a copy of it from my library, so I'm just excited excited to have this one and annotate it and just hold it forever. So for this one, I actually have a lot of spaces that this can fill. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wow. Okay. So for the first space, I'm thinking it could be the sun space, a book that is bound to make you happy, the fertilizer space, which is a book that will nourish your soul, the root space, which is a reread, the earth space, which is a book that was written before 1990, which this one, I want to say it's 1950s, I think. Wait. I think it's 1950. Actually, I will double check, and if anything, I will put a correction somewhere on the screen. And then lastly, the cacti space, which is a short book or anthology. This one is, how many pages is this? 112. Nope, just kidding. 114. So it's a little shorty. Reading this one will also finally get me on the board with my 5 rereads challenge that I'm participating in, because I haven't reread a single book. So I'm hoping that this is the one I reread. Okay, so up next is They're Going to Love You by Meg Howry. Feels really weird to say that name. This is the book that was picked for the book club that I'm part of, and I am super behind. I feel like a lot of the people that are in my book club have already finished this one, and I haven't even started. So I'm adding it to the list to push myself to read it, and hopefully I will have read it before my book club meets. We will see. Literally have no idea what this one's about whatsoever. I haven't read the synopsis. I have no idea. It was just picked for my book club that I'm in, and that was that. I picked it up from the library. And the space that I'm going to put this for is the variegated space, which is a book that's on the rarer side. I haven't really seen anyone else talk about this book, so that's why I'm picking this one. This might actually be like a popular book, but at least when it comes to like the book community that I'm part of and the books that I typically see, I haven't really seen anyone else talk about this one, so that's why I'm putting it under that space. Another book that I don't have the copy of is The Collected Schizophrenias by Esmé, Weijun, Wang. And I initially saw this book on, I think it was Allie talked about it in Grace, and I just remember adding it to my TBR after hearing them talk about it. So for this one, I'm going to be putting it for 3 different spaces. The cacti space, which is a book that is short or an anthology. The lotus space, which is a book with disability representation. And the third space is the tree space, a book that's nonfiction. I'll be getting a copy of it from my library, and yeah, hopefully I will get to it. I feel like I remember Allie and Grace talking really highly about it, so I'm excited to read that one. Okay, and then up next, a book that I'm super excited about is The Vulnerables by Sigrid Nunez. This is actually an advanced reader copy that I got from Riverhead Books, and I'm so thankful that I got a copy. I was so excited when this came in the mail, but don't really know what this is about. I just want to read more from Sigrid Nunez, so because of that, this is actually going to be the water prompt. It is a book written by an author that you are thirsty for more of. I would love to read a lot more Sigrid Nunez. I'm so excited that I have my hands on this. This came out November 7th, so by the time that you are seeing this video, it is already out, and I'm so excited. I was hoping to read this one before its release date, but so is life. I haven't gotten to it, so I want to prioritize it this month because I'm just so excited to read more Sigrid Nunez. I'm still not over the fact that I have this. This makes me so happy. Okay, we are so close to being done with this list. I have 2 more books. The next book that I have is Open Water by Caleb Zuma Nelson. This one has been on my list for a very long time as well. It could go for that prompt, but I don't really know what it's about. I just know it's about 2 people and it's a romance. I'm like pretty sure that's what this is about. This is actually a book that I bought very recently. I went to the store and they had a 20% off staff pick, and on top of that I had a store credit, so this ended up being like $5, and I'm just so happy to have this one. I've just heard that the writing of this is so beautiful, so I'm just excited to jump into it. And also, yeah, Jessie is blurbed on the front, so that is like all I need to know. I'm so excited for this one. Before I forget, let's talk about what spaces I want this one to cover. So I have it down for 3 different spaces. The first space is Tulip, which is a book that centers romantic love. I also have it for the cacti space, which is a book that is short, or an anthology. This one is Okay, it's 164 pages. I definitely thought it would be less than that, but it's under 200, so we're good. I'm also going to be putting this for the B space because on my part of BookTube and Bookstagram, I feel like I see this book all the time, and everyone always has, for the most part, really good things to say about it. Okay, we are at the final book. So the final book that I want to read for the Bloomin readathon is I Who Have Never Known Men by Jacqueline Hartman. This one was so hard for me to get my hands on. I'm trying to limit the amount of books that I'm buying, so if I can get it from the library, I'm trying to get books from the library. This one, I feel like I've had my hold for such a long time, and I don't know, there was like no end in sight, and I really wanted to read this one. So for my birthday, I actually ended up buying myself this book and another book, which I have a vlog that I'm hoping to come out at some point. I just honestly haven't been in the mood to edit it right now. So hopefully in the future I'll share that vlog. But I did buy this one and another book, and I share those in that video. I feel like this is a book that I've been wanting to read for a while. I say that about a lot of books, huh? There's a lot of books that I've been wanting to read for a very long time, but that's besides the point. This one was very hard to get my hands on. I feel like whenever I tried looking for it in a store, it was never there. And then for my birthday, I actually went to Trident, and I happened to like think about this book, and I searched to see if it was in the store, and it was, so I immediately grabbed it. It was the only copy there, so I had to get it. All I know about this is there's like a group of women who've been confined somewhere underground, but one day they are let go and they just have to kind of like figure out how to do life after they've been confined for so long. And I think some of them have never even been on the outside world, so they're having to like figure that out. That's like a general synopsis. I'm hoping that I got that right, but for this one I have it listed for, let's see, 2 spaces. So I have this as Ladybug Space, which is a book with a simple cover that you know will destroy you. I feel like from what I've seen, it seems like this one will definitely like stick with me for a while, and it'll definitely mess me up. So that's why I picked the Ladybug Space for this one. And I also picked the Cacti Space because it is a shorter book. So, okay, so it's 164 pages, so it's under 200 pages. So I'm putting this under the Cacti Space, and I am so excited for it. There are a few spaces that I kind of missed and didn't list under any of these books specifically, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually wait until I finish reading and then assign books to those categories, because I think one of them is like read a book that's like highly rated, and I think what I'll do for that one is once I'm finished reading whatever books I have, I'm just going to put whatever's the highest out of all of them in that category. And then there's like a few other ones that I'm not fully sure yet what I want to put. So yeah, I'll just assign books to those spaces as I finish books. But yeah, those are all the books that I'm hoping to read during the Bloomin readathon. I do plan on doing a little readathon vlog. I kind of want to make it like a 24-hour Bloomin readathon video. I think it'd be really fun to see how many books I could finish within like a 24-hour reading span. I've never really done that before, so I might only just read one, I might read 2, I don't know. But I definitely want to do a little readathon video. I know I can't do one for every week because I just don't vlog every week, but I'd love to do like a little weekend 24-hour readathon vlog. Hopefully that'll come out at the end of the month. Fingers crossed, we'll see. For any of the books that I've talked about, I would love to know if there's like any other prompts you think some of these books could fill that maybe I missed, because I'm trying to cover this board, so I will take any help, any suggestions that you have. And also I'd love to know if you're also going to be participating in the Bloomin readathon, and if you are, I'd love to know if this is like the first time, your second time, your third time joining. I'd love to talk about it and talk to more people that are participating in the readathon. Thank you so much for clicking on my video and hanging out with me. Happy Bloomin readathon season if you are joining. I hope you're doing all right. Sending you all the love, and I will see you in the next video.